Chai with Manju. Creator and host, Dr. Manju Sheth. With guest, President Berklee College of Music, and the force behind the Berklee Indian Ensemble. Roger H. Brown. Now presenting Chai with Manju.
Welcome to Chai with Manju. Our special guest today is a musician, humanitarian, and entrepreneur, as well as the president of Berklee College of Music, which is the world's largest college of contemporary music. It's such an honor for me to present to you President Roger Brown of Berklee. So, welcome.
Thank you, Manju. It's an honor to be here.
And we are so excited.
Yeah.
We're so excited to have you. So I have to tell you, when I was doing my research about you, looking for all the secrets, I was not just inspired, I was intrigued because your life is stranger than fiction. Because I was reading that you were in a band in sixth grade.
Yes.
Then you have a bachelor's degree in physics.
Yes.
And then you taught math in Kenya, and then you were in a gospel choir.
Yes.
Then you solved some major humanitarian crisis in Cambodia and Sudan. When you come back to US, start Bright Horizon, help parents like me to practice medicine and go to work. And then you became the third president of Berklee College. So do you think you're a destiny's child? And what are some of the extraordinary lessons that you have learned from this great journey of yours?
Well, it's certainly been a rich and enjoyable journey. And when I was a young boy, I vowed to have a life full of fun and adventure.
How young?
I was probably 12 or 13.
Okay.
And I grew up in a very small town in the rural South. And I think some people who grow up in that kind of place are very happy and content to stay there, and others blast out like a rocket ship, and I was more in the latter category. I've just had so many great opportunities, and one of the things I've always loved is learning about other cultures, because I think you understand yourself and your own culture so much better when you see how other people live and approach life. So all those experiences, Kenya, Sudan, Cambodia, Thailand, I think they taught me so much. It humbles you because you realize that the way you think of things is not the only way, but it teaches you a lot too.
And what are some of the most important lessons you've learned?
To be observant, to try to get beneath the surface, to who people really are. I've learned that a lot of conventional wisdom is wrong.
Now, have you had any people who have helped you in your journey, whether it's your parents or anybody who's inspired you along the way?
Yes. I have a mother who is a force of nature. She's still alive. She's turning 91 soon. She was very driven, a very aggressive woman. If she'd grown up in a different generation, she might have been running Google. Instead, she became a ferocious bridge player and channeled a lot of her ambition into me.
Wow.
I'm an only child. I have a father who is a very sweet, kind, gentle person who was wise and balanced, never lost his temper. So I'm a little bit of a combination of the two of them. I think my drive comes from my mother, and I hope whatever wisdom I have comes from my father. And then the year I lived in Kenya was the most formative year of my life. And the headmaster of my school was an incredibly brilliant, interesting man. And he took it as his job to teach me about Kenya and really about life. So I was, 21, 22 years old at the time. And his son now works here, who was 2 years old when I was in Kenya. So I learned so much from him, and he was able to be a role model to me in a way that that no one in my own culture ever has been, except maybe my father.
Wow.
So I just feel like he taught me so much. He was so generous with his time, so funny, great sense of humor. So his name is Francis Lutomia. He was very important to me. He's still alive. And
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, that brings me to my next question. You have done such extraordinary things at Berklee since you started your tenure in 2004. It's become a household name.
Hope so.
You've reached over 1 million students with online program, 105 countries, presidential scholars, the scholarship and the financial aid has grown over 400%. 500%.
570% to be exact.
Even better. And then you have an offshore Berklee College in Spain as well. How did you envision it all? How did you make it happen? And what do you think are some of the far-reaching effects that your presidency is going to bring to the world?
Well, I think we started with some basic ideas about what made Berklee so special. Okay. And then all the opportunities could be viewed through that lens. So Berklee's always been a very international and global place. One of our first and most famous alumni was a man named Arif Mardin from Turkey, who went on to produce Aretha Franklin's most famous records. So we have this tradition of people from other countries coming here and thriving. And my vision was, rather than be an American school that welcomed people from other countries, let's try to be a truly global school that happens to have a campus in Boston, but now has a campus in Spain, now has a campus in New York City, and we may be creating some opportunities in other parts of the world. So it's a mindset shift that says we're not just welcoming other people, we're not just helping them learn about American music, we're helping North Americans learn about Indian music. And who knows, the next big Bollywood playback star might be some kid from California. You just don't know. So that was one. Another is an observation that the music in the world in general, but music especially, is ever more mediated by technology. And there's an intersection of the visual and the auditory. So we want to be at the cutting edge of that. As much as we revere and admire the music of the past, we don't want to be only about the music of the past. We want to be the place that's about empowering young musicians to create tomorrow's music. The music that other people will be studying 50 years from now. We want to come from here. And then the third piece is related to the global one, but we want to be the place that admires and respects people from all walks of life, whatever their religion may be, whatever their gender identity may be,
the universal language,
whatever their socioeconomic status is, where art and music and talent is the great currency, not who your mother and father were. So we've tried to create a place that's really supportive of students, regardless of who they are and where they come from. And it's easier to do that maybe in music, because if someone can play, you don't care. You don't care about all that other stuff. So I think most of our decisions have been viewed through the lens of how do we become a better place, a more global place, give our students the technological edge to be more successful, and really embrace and care about people as human beings.
You mentioned Berklee India Exchange, which, as you know, is music to the ears of all Indians and Indian Americans.
Literally.
So that is my next question. Of course, Berklee India Exchange has brought us extraordinary artists like A.R. Rahman, Shankar Mahadevan, Shreyan. Now this year, Zakir Hussain, to name a few. And then, of course, Berklee India Ensemble. You have students from, I think, 49 countries. And this has become such a good pathway for students from India. Recently, I interviewed Pooja Tiwari, who got a scholarship. And of course, it's given us Clintonet, Rohit, just to name a few, who are very close to heart. Now, what made you, how did you think about that this could be so successful? What was your vision when you decided to invest in this program?
That's a good question. I think that one of my qualities as a leader is knowing something great when I see it.
And an entrepreneur too.
And so sometimes you can go into a laboratory and dream something up, but most often you discover great things by just keeping your eyes open. So I remember hearing Annette Phillip when she was still a student performing at the college, and she was stunning.
Yes.
Stunning.
Right.
I mean, she could, of course, do traditional Indian music, but you should hear her sing Motown. I mean, she could do anything. And she went on to become part of the faculty. And Clint, who became her partner in crime, said, "We got to come see this concert we're doing." I think that might have been Clinton Cerejo.
Yeah. I read that.
And I have to confess, I have an inherent love of India and maybe a bias towards Indian music and culture. If you think about Indian music, it has a level of rhythmic sophistication that's found only in American jazz or African traditional music. It has a level of passion and emotion that I think is similar to the best of American popular music. It has this vector of film that shares it with millions of people, and it's improvisational.
Exactly.
So it felt like if there's any analog or parallel to jazz, which was the music we were founded to teach, Indian music is probably one of the forms that will, in some ways, is more harmonious with what we do than anything else. So I don't know. I just immediately thought this is an idea, and we had two amazing people to take it and run with it.
Yeah.
And I didn't do that much other than say, "That's great. Let's do more of this." And they went out and found all these other artists, and I got to know AR. AR and I became close personal friends. And he's a superstar, but he's also a very warm, accessible man. And that really that took it to another level. That concert.
You started with the best.
Yeah. He is really an extraordinary person, and I've now gotten to know him enough to see how he hears things and absorbs them. I think film composing is perfect for him because it challenges him to do so many different styles of music. And one of the best experiences of my life was we were in Mumbai, and Clint said to me, AR's asked us if we want to go see Haji Ali, the mosque, for morning prayer, which is 5 in the morning. I don't like to get up early in the morning, but I said, okay, for this, I'm getting up. And here we were before dawn walking to this amazing mosque, my wife and I, and I think it was Shivani and Clint. And it was, I don't know. To me, that epitomizes what I want my life to be about.
And talking of what you referred in India, vector for films, I have to say that Berklee became a household name with Gully Boy, the superstars.
Absolutely.
And I heard that all of you went and watched it together.
We went and had an Indian meal, and then we went to the movie theater, about 40 of us. And when the young woman said she went to Berklee College of Music, we all cheered and shouted. I was disappointed that she seduced that young man. A true Berklee student would never have done that. But no, that was a great movie, and I love the idea that we're now becoming a household name. When people want to,
every village, every town.
Yeah, when they want to signify great music education, they talk about Berklee. Right. Well, I have to say, I think the Indian ensemble has done that between Yojai Desi Hai Taro. Is that right? Is that how you say that? From Swades.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Yes. So all these great videos that our Indian ensemble has done have made us famous.
Yes. I don't know, over 300 million views and still rising with Jia Jale.
Yeah.
Great.
Jia Jale, of course, is our secret weapon. But almost everything we do now gets 1 million views. Annette could comb her hair and it would get 1 million views.
I'm hoping this one does too.
Okay,
my fingers
let's work
and
on
my
that.
Toes are crossed.
Let's work on that.
My fingers, toes, everything is crossed right now.
An interview might not be as exciting as seeing the Indian ensemble perform, but
this would be. Now, tell me, what do you think is your greatest legacy, or will be your greatest legacy?
in my life,
Yes.
certainly my children.
Okay.
I have 3 amazing children, one of whom is a visual artist and a nurse who lives in New York City.
Okay.
And is the kindest and most compassionate human being God ever created. If you were unlucky enough to get sick, but you had her as a nurse, it would all even out because she is the most caring.
So she's like your dad in some ways.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but she's very much like him. I have a son who's very, very gifted mathematically. He's getting a PhD at MIT in theoretical mathematics. He's sort of doing what his father.
Yes.
I wish that I had been that smart. I was close enough, but not quite. Not at his level.
Yeah, you had a larger purpose in life.
And he's doing his math, and he's also involved in social causes. And he, like his father, is very committed to racial justice. And then my youngest, Gracie, is an avid dancer. Okay. And I don't want to put any pressure on her, but I think someday she's going to write an amazing memoir or an amazing novel. She's a really creative person, great writer, also excellent dancer. She went to the Boston Conservatory for a semester to study dance. So I'm sure that will be my greatest legacy. And, no matter what you accomplish in sort of the physical world, my father was an engineer, and he helped design a lot of bridges and highways and roads. And I have a map of all the roads that he designed. And as much as I love him, I look at that and I think, those achievements, that's not who he was. Who he was this loving father to me. Right. But at Berklee, I hope the legacy will be to have made it a place that truly supports students in the deepest way.
Absolutely.
All of us are, underneath the surface are fragile people, but I think artists maybe more so than most.
Absolutely. No, undoubtedly.
Part of what makes an artist so effective is their ability to sense what's happening in the world and to share that back with us so we can see and understand what's happening in the world. And it's a burden. Because if you feel that deeply, when something is upsetting in the world, you feel it 10 times more than the ordinary person who might just have their armor on all the time and going about their business and rushing around from place to place. So I want us to be that place that nurtures the young artists so they can give the world back everything they have to offer. So I hope that will be the legacy here.
That is so wonderful. And I have to tell you, as a community, we are so looking forward to honor you for all that you've done. We are so grateful. And we are just so delighted to have you amongst us. Looking forward to November 15th at New England Choice Awards. And we will see you then. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.